Throughout recorded history, 88% of Canadian fires have been caused by lightning, while accidental human activity accounts for 7.5%. There have been instances of deliberate arson, which is deeply concerning. However, it's important not to jump to conclusions about these fires being linked to climate change, which would conveniently align with certain narratives and interests. We should allow the police to conduct their investigations before making assumptions.
Well, that didn't happen. He just jumped straight into what his ministry is and ignored everything. Let's have a listen to the media, what they're saying after that information have come out that Quebec person has been charged with this, and this doesn't mean that there's no climate change. It's a small portion. Let's have a look at what they're talking about. Alarming disinformation. Welcome to Canada Wide. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification button. Today we will go through the news of the Quebec arsonist that has been charged, and the media is getting excited because they are saying that this is not that climate change doesn't exist. It's just that this was a random offset, a small part of all the fires that were burning. So let's have a look at it. And this guy on the screen here is a doctor from Rimouski, government employee. We'll have a look at his credentials in a moment here. So 14 fires. I think we all heard that news. And there was some also in Quebec, some arsonists, and also in Nova Scotia. So this has been about 7 months after the event. And we'll go through with Stephen Guilbeault what he knew immediately. He knew it immediately and never brought it up. So it says right here on Twitter, they were quick to accuse the government and the media of lying to them. And it's actually, we'll have a look at the data because 88% of all forest fires were caused by lightning for the last 30 years. And I'm only saying 30 years because they never recorded that data before 1990. So, I mean, if you look at the history of 100 years or 1,000 or a million years, lightning is the pretty big culprit in dead wood in the forest. And what they go through here, what the media is saying, they admit the summer of fires was a lot to do with arson and little to do with climate change. Never because they love to fearmonger, one person posted on X. And I think they're saying this because very quickly, when the fires were happening, it was climate change. Boom. Snap my fingers. Boom. Climate change. That's what it was. And they didn't really look at facts and science. So that's what everyone's concern is with that. Looks like it wasn't climate change that started the fires, another person posted on X. Now, when they find that 38-year-old here, they found him and they said he burned down 900 hectares. And I was curious how they did this too, because they tracked his car, and I'm not sure if someone filmed it. I do remember a video of someone in Quebec filming a fire starting when it happened, and I'm not sure if I saved that. But then what they did is they looked to see where the guy was in relationship to the fire started. So I would suspect that either someone like ratted on him, or that's how that came about, that they knew that this person did it. Now this is the chart here, and orange is fires in Quebec. Not in Quebec, because when you look at Canada, there's more. And the little red, you can't even see it over here on the right. There are 900. So he didn't do much. That's the point that they're making. That it's still climate change. It's just that one guy, he's the guy that did it. And like when these fires are starting, because say of climate change, do you think the first thing that you do is you go around and you light 14 fires? Why? And for light 14 fires, and it's not like you light a campfire and a campfire 10 feet away. You actually light it and you drive. You do it, drive. Like you're on a mission, like you have a plan. Like, do you even have a job too? Like, this is the biggest thing that you're doing. As the fire's raging, you go around and do more and drive around and start more of them up. Like, it doesn't seem like a very logical thing. And they found one guy. Like, how do you know all the other people that he is related to or part of his group or activism group that they didn't catch, or they didn't put the effort in to figure out what was going on? Now, there is no evidence that anyone else committed large-scale arson in Quebec. And that's because no one else talked to them. And this is the woods too. I mean, Quebec is a lot of it is woods that most people don't realize. It's not just people that just speak French and don't like anyone that speaks English. So yeah, they don't know anyone else that has done it. And if you look at it, it's not really much of an effort on the police or whatever to when a forest fire starts to say, hey, let's figure out who might have caused, if human might have caused it. No, that's not the case. They're trying to protect people. They're trying to see which, if there is a sicko that's doing it, they're not really looking at that. They're trying to save lives and try to save people's houses from burning down. So it's sort of the opposite. And the government just jumping on the bandwagon really doesn't help. And this PH guy, was it Boulanger? Okay, he's from Rimouski. Yeah, they're always from Rimouski or Montreal, same McGill University or something like that. Let's have a look at his job here. Well, here you go. So he is a government employee. So his whole job is he gets paid, like his food in his stomach and his mortgage is paid and all the mental health vacations that it gets to go on. It's because of climate change. Like, he needs to say this to get his funding, to get his money. No, he's not in there to prove what are the facts and what really you can do. His whole game is to talk about forest fires. And like, the more you mismanage the fire, the more likely that it will burn, the more likely that you can say it's climate change. Like, it's this little cycle. The more you neglect your work for climate change, like managing the woods, that is, the more you get to, your tummy gets to be full. Let's have a look at some real data here. Now, this is the National Forestry Database, and I don't see why Stephen Guilbeault can't go up on his little scooter and drive down to the other department that has this information, because they do report how many fires, and this is where I got the data going back 30 years. So we won't look at this one. And a lot of these are, it's very hard. Like, there's the number of fires, and now you can look at it on a satellite, and then how many hectares they burn, which after you start getting how many hectares are burned, everything sort of, the numbers start getting like, you can't pinpoint it to how many it started. It's very hard to do that because a fire with the wind blowing, and it can grow really, really fast. So you don't know where the source actually came from. Okay, number of fires here. This is all in beautiful tableau. 1990. Let's go to the future, 2021. Let's look at a one with a big amount here. Oh, number of fires. So let's not look at the number of fires because that's a count, and I'm not sure how they count that. Area burned. Okay, let's look at this. And every government tries to do a visualization that they think is important, but they always try to hide stuff too, which sucks a lot. Let's look at Ontario, and I'm only doing that because there's a lot of area burned here. I guess this is in hectares. So if you look here, see, human activity, lightning. Look at that lightning. This is the 88%. 88% of fires are caused by lightning for the last 30 years. And what's so special about after Guilbeault and carbon tax comes in, because in 2021, so they haven't put 2022 and 2023, the fires we're talking about, all of a sudden it goes into unspecified. So this is like looking at flu shots in that sea going on. Like, the flu shots, the flu disappears and the other one starts up all of a sudden, and it disappeared. And it's the same thing going here. You're sort of not rewriting history, but you're changing the goal post or changing the KPI, the key performance indicators. You're just changing it. You're not telling anyone, and you're just going with a story. So looks so sus here. See all these big numbers, 250,000 hectares. Okay, some are good, some are bad. You see, this was 5,000 in 2014, and all of a sudden in 2020, and then 800,000 just goes in unspecified. So doing that is really horrible that they do that on every province. And the explanation for it is, drummer, there's no explanation. They just do it. It's almost like this, what you see on the screen here is going to disappear. They're going to take it off the website, and they're going to rearrange the numbers, and they're going to just add up a whole thing and just say everything, it's all climate change. So that looks like what they might start doing on here. And if I go down, you can download it. These are the number of fires by month. How they calculate this is incredible. because I think looking at the satellite, so in March, 4 fires. Okay, what? August, yeah. So, I mean, hello, summer, hot, or more fires. That's easy to look at. And getting all these numbers must take a lot of government power to do. A lot. And at the end of the day, they should just manage the forest, not worry about how accurate getting these numbers, like 2. How do they know that? So, okay, anything else in here? How many hectares? I mean, how many hectares really depends on how many wind and how unmanaged. Like, to me, this is an indication of how poorly managed the forest is. And all of this started in 2021. Here, if I highlight 2021, that everything went into unspecified when carbon tax came in. So it's pushing a political policy is what happened. That's, to me, it looks like why they did that. It was just a political policy that changed, and they needed to push it in. Now let's listen to Guilbeault talk, and it is the 1.5 months after he already knew it was climate change. And this guy, this doctor in Quebec, why didn't he suggest to Guilbeault to say, hey, before you start saying climate change is because of this, to say there's a possibility some of it could be arson, or usually 88% in the last 30 years when we've been tracking this is caused by lightning, but we're going to look into that before we start saying it's climate change and push my ministry agenda further. Like, that's really what they should say. If they're going to follow the science, then follow the science. Don't follow the science that you want to push and ignore everybody else, because that is not fair to do, in my opinion. They really should have been honest about it and say that information at the beginning, and I'll try to put that in this video as well. Okay, thanks for watching. Best of goodbyes. I hope that was helpful. I'll leave the links of at least this data in here before the government would take it down, because they haven't put 2022 and 2023, the big ones, in. What's the hurry? I don't got no. What have they been doing the 2 years in here? They've been probably just pushing agendas of the carbon tax more than anything, than trying to figure out what are the numbers they should be putting in here. Okay, thanks for watching. Best of goodbyes. Talk to you. See you in the next video.
We know that climate change makes wildfire season worse. We continue to face Canada's worst ever wildfire season. Today, I'll be providing an update on the ongoing situation across the country. Canada has now surpassed its historic record for total area burned in one season.
Repeat it, say it often, and they will totally buy it. Guess who said that? Yeah, that's who.